Hey everyone, David Easterbrook here. Today I'm going to take this intermediate level ficus and show you how to up the value, create a better looking ficus bonsai, something like this one over here. Hey everyone, David Easterbrook here. Just want to tell you that we have 10,000 followers on YouTube. So if you haven't seen my YouTubes before, hit the subscribe button to it. We have over 200,000 followers on Instagram and probably close to 500,000 on TikTok. So thanks a lot, guys, for following me. Today we're going to be working on this ficus bonsai. We want to improve it. It was recently purchased and now we want to create a better looking bonsai out of it. Something like this one over here. Mind you, it'll take a few years, but we want to give it some good bones so that we can improve this tree. So in the future, it'll have those beautiful lines and make a top class bonsai. While we're on the topic of tropical bonsai, I wanted to show you a Brazilian rain tree. This is also a tropical bonsai, grows very well indoors. And just to give you an example, right now all the leaves have folded shut for the evening, but they'll reopen in the morning. Great tree, great exfoliating bark. While we're on the topic of tropical bonsai, just wanted to show you a couple of t-shirts that my friends Eric and Andrea Weigert sent me from their bonsai nursery, Weigert's Bonsai in Florida. Pretty cool, eh? This ficus was neglected in the past. We can see that the main trunk died back. It's pretty bare everywhere. It really does need a repotting. The pot is broken. I just anchored it even better into the pot. It wasn't even tied into the pot. So now today we're going to work on it and really try to improve it so that it has a good future as a bonsai. So right away we're struck with this anomaly, this trunk going out in two different directions. That we don't want. This is the main trunk that died back. So let's cut that off. And we're going to go up into this line as a new trunk right here, okay? And I think we can do a better quality bonsai with that. Now the tree is starting to lose some sap, which is latex. So we're just going to block that off, cover the wound so we don't lose too much sap. And we've got a few other branch scars that we should remove. This one over here. This one over here. Okay. So now we've got those settled. We'll remove those. Now let's look at what we're going to keep of this tree. We've already removed that dead part of the old trunk. Now we've got another problem. I want this part here to be my main trunk. And we've got this competing back branch here. I could have made a new top out of it, but it's a weird branch. It's really, the sap is split, or the trunk is split down the middle. Half the sap is going into here, half the sap is going into there. But it's too thick to use as a decent branch. So we're just going to remove it. Okay. Block this one off also. Okay, there we go. So now this is what we're left with. Now we do have some interesting little new growth right here. The tree, once it was outside, It's been growing well, it's been fertilized, so it's starting to send out new growth. So we're going to take advantage of that. Right now, what we're going to do is wire this, the new trunk, and give it a bit of movement. We might also wire it to this back branch so that we can get an interesting line. So I'm going to need a thicker wire, quite a thick wire. Now, this is actually called a ficus tree or elastic tree. We actually get rubber from these trees. So we want to use a thick wire, but it's very flexible, very, very flexible. Now, we're going to have to look at how we're going to move this trunk. We want to move this trunk this way, okay, so that we can keep the curves going. So we have to apply the wire so that it will move the trunk that way, okay? So we give ourselves enough wire there, and then we'll come around to the back and give ourselves enough wire for the other side and cut the excess. Okay. So here we go. Here we're wiring this branch. And now that we've got the branch wired, one branch, it's anchored, the wire is anchored, will go up into the future trunk, the trunk line. Okay, so okay, now we'll do the back branch here, and after that we'll place the branches. Okay, so we'll wire this one upwards. This is a very long branch, but we're actually going to shorten it by curving it, by giving it a good, almost a 360-degree turn, and that way it'll shorten it. Eventually, if we don't want that full turn, we can actually cut it back. Okay, so the front of the tree is actually going to be about here. This is where the trunk is thickest, and I think it's going to be the most pleasant front. So we're going to have to move our tree so that we can have the front facing this way. And right now the tree, as you can see, is very one-dimensional here. And we have to keep these curves, these bottom curves going, okay? So that's the important thing too. We have to give this tree a three-dimensional effect. we need a back branch in here, which we don't have. So this branch here will, this one right here in my hands, will become a back branch. Now I'm twisting around the main trunk so that I can actually arrange it to have branches on different sides. Okay, those different branches will, those branches, if I can spread them around the trunk, I'll have branches on in the front and the back. So there we are here. Okay, so now we're going to start wiring secondary branches, and we'll fill out the tree. The nice thing about Ficus is they are very elastic, so we can move the branches around without any worry that they'll break. They're just so flexible. This branch has become our back branch. It's a little bit too strong, so we are pruning it back slightly. And now we will wire it. You don't want to wire these trees, these ficus, too tightly because they grow so rapidly at this time of year. The wire will sink in very, very quickly. So you really do want to leave it slightly loose so that you don't have to take it off in a couple of weeks. And once we get, you can either wire a bonsai, either do all the main branches first and then do the secondary branches, or you can do them one by one all the way up, complete each branch starting from the bottom upwards. So it depends on the way, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, now this branch is very long, so we're going to try to shorten it by giving it a few curves. And here we go with the wiring of this branch here, this one on the side here. And it really does need to be shortened. Mind you, it is budding out, so we can, in a few weeks, we'll be able to shorten this these long branches just because they'll be sending out new growth, and we can just cut back to where it sends out new branching. Okay. Okay, let's get up to these upper branches now and try to take care of these branches here. Now these upper branches are all pretty close to each other, so we're going to, if we wire them together, we're not going to have a very good anchor. So we're going to wire from the lower branches up into the upper ones. It's been quite a while since I've wired. At this time of year, I'm actually still pinching and all the new growth of my my larch trees. I'm lime sulfuring all of my trees, and especially at this time of year, unwiring the trees. The wire that I put on during the winter months is biting in, and so myself and a few students have been spending the last few weeks unwiring bonsai. It's a really big job, very, very long job to unwire all those trees. Now don't hesitate when you're doing training wiring, don't hesitate to use thicker wire, because you're not going to be putting your tree in a show at this time. So you just want the wire to do the work that it's supposed to do. So use not the thickest wire possible, but use something that will really help you move the branch around, okay? Don't use thin wire, use thicker wires. Now, this branch, which was the top, will become a side branch, but don't hesitate to, we'll cut it back, not right now, but once we've got it all all the tree wired and we start placing the branches, some of these branches will be cut back. Try not to cross your wires. I haven't crossed any yet. It's not just aesthetics, it's to make sure if your wires are crossed, sometimes they can cut the circulation, the sap circulation of the tree. The branch can die. So you really want to be careful that, that you don't create too much tension in one place either. So yeah, just be careful when you're wiring. Try not to catch the leaves also under your wire. Try to arrange it so that they're not crushed by the wire, because if they are, of course, they're going to die on you. So that's just something you want to avoid. Sometimes you have to hold these little leaves out of the way. It's harder when you get toward the end. There we go. So after this, I have one little branch left to wire over here. We'll get that done. Now it is sort of an orphan branch. It's all on its own, so we can just anchor it with another. Well, we've got two, so let's go to the second one also. Okay. There we go here. And here we are here. So, okay, now the front of our tree, don't forget, is right here, okay? We're going to probably be tilting it up a little bit. So we want to have a front branch. Now, eventually we won't even need this one, but I like bonsai to look full when they're created. I don't like stick trees, skeleton trees. So right now what I'm doing is using everything as much as possible to create a fuller looking tree. And then in the future we can start to pare it down, thin it out. We can eliminate some branches that we don't need. Now we've got a couple of smaller branches here that we're going to wire because they're in the front. We want it to look nice. Almost completed. Right now I'm working on the apex of the tree, and apexes are really important because they're like the crowning glory of a tree. They have to be full. They have to be rounded. They have to be standing up and facing the sun. So you want a nice apex. So I keep all the foliage that I have to create an apex. I'll keep all of it and just use as much as I can to fill out the apex of the tree. I think that's so important. So many people don't realize that. A lot of people want these real pointy little apexes. As trees age, as they grow older, they stop growing upwards and the apexes start spreading outwards. So that's what we want, a nice rounded crown on our tree that spreads outwards and upwards. And so we're just about at that point here. I just have a few little branches on this longer branch to wire, and I think I'm going to be finished working on this tree. Mind you, it's always a starting point. It's never completely done, but I think it'll be respectable. I think, yep, it'll make a nice bonsai in the future. I showed you that top quality ficus that I have. Well, this one with a few years behind it should be able to be the same thing. Goes to show you that, it depends on the amount of time and effort you invest in a tree. When we started off on this tree, it was not a very attractive tree, but with a little work, like this is going to be it. With a little work, we can create something pretty outstanding. So, just going to finish this, and our tree will be done. As I say, many of the branches will bud back, so we'll be able to create some really, really interesting shorter branches. Now visually right now we want to make this branch look a lot shorter, although it does have some. So what we can do is take some of these side branches and bring them backwards a bit. Now it's not really kosher to do something like that sometimes, but you use what you have in bonsai. Eventually we'll get new sprouts along here, and then we'll be able to either remove that branch, or we'll be able to just shorten it, and we won't need that branch that's turned inwards. The goal is to make a good looking, saleable tree, something that also will take on value in the future. And I think that's a really, really important, salient part in creating bonsai. In Japan, bonsai experts are businessmen. They're out to create good quality bonsai as fast as they can, so that they can earn money to feed their families. And so, yeah, they're often, they're creating trees that, in a very rapid manner, but very beautiful trees. So that's what we want to do with this one here. So here we go. So this is the finished product, guys. Okay. I'm not going to pot it up tonight, but this is a good time of year to pot it. When you're dealing with tropical bonsai, you should be repotting them during the hottest months of the year, July and August. Maybe it would have been better, since winter is fast approaching in our northern clime, to have repotted it in July, but I didn't have time. It was just purchased anyway a while back. So we'll pot it up tomorrow, put it in a nicer pot and pot it at this angle here. And as I say, in the future, this will be a very good quality bonsai with a little bit of time, some growing behind its belt. I think anyone would be very proud of this tree. Thanks a lot, guys. Hey, before I let you guys go, let me know in your comments what you thought of this transformation. Did you think it was going to look like this? Do you think it's improved? What would you have done with the tree? Yeah, I'd really like to get some feedback here, guys.